welcome to Taiwan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I know you're an expert in smoke in Japan, especially.
Yes.
So maybe you can give us some insight on how smoke is used in Japan.
Right.
In the entertainment market in Japan.
Okay. So, actually, from my story, I'm working I established Discrete Logic Japan 1995, and with 2 persons, and after we are fighting against the sales about frame against Contel. It's 20 years ago, and we won. And then growing the market at that time the post facility in Tokyo area is around 200 company, and still currently it's high-end post production in Tokyo is around 250 company inside Tokyo, and everybody having the frame, but like the economy is down so much last few years, and then we decided something release more affordable price point. So that is the smoke. So, and the smoke that should be having some feature set, very easy to use. That's one point, and should be high-end feature set at the same time. And because there are so many on the market, there are so many competitors over there already. Even the Final Cut, any Adobe stuff or anything is there already. So we should be having some point out using the frame name, but same time bringing up those prosumer market into the more professional market. So that is the purpose for the smoke itself. Then second things, we are choosing the platform. So let's think about we are coming from IRIX world, from SGI, and moving to the Linux. And then those platform is very good for the professional market, but it's not good for the consumer market or more wider range of the market. So we searching everything, and one possibility is the Windows platform. Other platform is like Mac platform, and Linux also. So those 3 environment, we can release any kind of the software, but we choosing and looking for the market, then we choosing the Mac platform for that. So because all the creative guys, they're using the Mac. And even look at the Tokyo Post facility, the main guy is using the Linux station, and having the main editor with assistant every time using the Photoshop, Adobe stuff, Final Cut on the Mac platform. So why not we are not releasing those software? So that is the philosophy of the smoke on the Mac. And still the frame is the mainstream in Tokyo, and smoke is let's say the number of the license in Tokyo for the smoke on Mac. As of this year's May 1st, the license in Tokyo is over 300, and the frame side is also over 300. So currently, its market in Tokyo is half and half, but most of the smoke user is overlapping the frame user. So they are using more portable way of the frame. They want to bring the frame outside, on set. They want to check any compositing on set. They want to check the 3D tracking. They want to check the tracking. But its frame is a money generator, so that they cannot bring to the onset. So smoke is using for that. That is one aspect. So the post guys, they're just using the smoke as an onset machine. They bring in on the laptop like that. So then checking all the quality and the tracking and the keying. then bring those metadata into the actual post-production pipeline. So
It's using smoke as an offline.
not. So there are no word like offline and online. Our purpose for the smoke is removing those barriers. So there are no more offline and online because every camera is shooting by the actual file-based camera. So there are no difference between the off and on. So if they bring the smoke on the onset, their capture quality is final. Nothing different.
So in other words, you want your user to finish everything on smoke
Right.
from the beginning to the end.
Right.
Okay. So how do you? Because I was told that Japan is the second biggest market for
Right.
smoke
Right.
and Mac.
Right.
So these end user or new user, or are they switched
Right.
from Final Cut? And if they're, I'm guessing probably some of them are not smoke user before. I mean, how do you convince them? Because I'm sure there's quite a bit of learning curve.
Right.
Yeah, if you haven't touched all this smokeless flame before, I mean, how do you
Right.
convince them?
Right. So our strategy is basically is not fight against those competitors. So Final Cut having the good point, but the weak point at the same time, and Premiere having the same issue, and any software company having the same issue, some good point and some bad point. So smoke is the same thing. So our strategy is just go with them, not fight against them. So that is a strategy. So for let's say the first cut on the onset, Final Cut is very good for the first cut, but can't finish it. But we are supporting their XML very deeply. So once you first cut on the Final Cut, we bring all the information into the smoke timeline.
So the Smoke on Mac supports Final Cut 7 and Final Cut 10's XML?
Yes. So everything. And even the other portion, the more professional market, like a Media Composer. So from a Media Composer with the DNX HD, and we are supporting the natively DNX HD inside the smoke on the Mac. So your frame store can make a DNX HD. So without any transcoding, and those metadata bringing from Media Composer to the smoke is AAF. So same things apply to the Adobe product. So anything, the first cut, the first editorial things can bring everything into the smoke. So that's why the smoke is still keeping the online style instead of the first cut style. So that is the pain point for the first user. But most of our user, it's understanding that's like you said. So it's they're a pie, and half portion of the 300 license for the smoke on the Mac. The half portion is they already know about the frame, and they are using smoke as instead of the frame. The other portion is independent filmmaker or independent freelancer. So those guys is working with a more upstream. Upstream means pre-production style and shooting block. So those people is a very not talking directly to the post facility. So they work with a freelancer all the time as a designer, storyboard designer. So story maker is over there. So they are choosing smoke because of they know about how finished the project itself. It should be going to the frame. So good point for to transfer all the information in all the metadata, even the axis position, the tracking data, the natively compatible the smoke and the frame. So they know about that. So then they start using the smoke on Mac. And at some point, of course, they are using depends on the project, but some user they start with just Final Cut, and then editing. But if they decided to getting the more budget for that, so they need to finish on the frame. And then they simulate everything inside the smoke on the Mac, and then pushing out. So,
for some reason, my impression was Smoke was not much as an editing software, because it's more like a compositing software in the past, especially before Smoke on Mac. It's more like compositing, and this is usually very difficult for video editor, because I think it's more than the fact that you guys employ the timeline, the track concept instead of node, concept, and that is most scared by the videos editors. So from an editor's point of view, I see Smoke is much more than a video editing software. So can you maybe talk about the key differences between Smoke and other nonlinear editing softwares?
So I'm also coming from the actual linear editing bay. So I'm linear guys. So, and if you look at the current market, who is using, so I'm a 20 years old guy for the industry. So it's I'm based on the linear bay. So Smoke is looks like very VFX software. That's true, but growing up the younger guys, so the young editor, there doesn't have any sense the linear bay.
That's not a problem for that.
So,
but I'm saying even for people who are using a non-linear software, like Avid or Premiere or Final Cut, maybe Smoke is doing something more than just video editing software is supposed to do. I mean, you can do color grading, you can do all kind of thing. You can even import like an FBX from Maya. So, can you maybe talk about some of the key features? Because I think that's something that our viewers would be very interested in knowing.
Yeah. So we look at the timeline as a container of the story, not the VFX. It's a container of the story. So timeline is a story-driven tools, and without the story, any single point of the VFX doesn't mean anything. The story is a driver for the content. So key feature is we are stay in the every story inside the timeline. Every single segment having the own GPU-based effect, the real-time caching system with the GPU, and let's say you know about action or 2D the transform or any other morphing or blur, color grading, doesn't matter. Those GPU-based effect pipeline, without leaving the timeline, you can apply everything in real time for the timeline segment. So that is a big difference compared to the other nonlinear software. So they just edit and dissolve and very simple stuff and stack the multi-layer. That's all. And the picture in picture and a very small compositing with plugin. But within the Smoke, so with each single segment having the effect container also. So there are so many frame feature set into the frame effect on the single segment. So that's a big difference, I think.